Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for swinging by. I sure do appreciate it. If this is your first time with the channel, my name is Mark.
Oh, hi Mark.
Welcome to Fit and Fire. Let's get into this video. This time we're going to be looking at a battle rifle that I have been interested in a very, very long time. I wouldn't say that it's like tops on my list, but my local shop, American Cash Exchange, had one and I was able to do a little wheeling and dealing with them and was able to get it into my collection. So we are going to utilize that as an example for the battle rifles that are available. Not only the Cold War versions, but also the new ones that are going to be out on the market as well. Essentially, we'll look at the SCAR 17 versus this guy right here. This is going to be the PTR-91, and we'll also compare that with a FN FAL and also a Springfield M1A. In addition to that, once we're done with all of those videos, we'll then compare everything to, say, a SR-25 or an AR-10, but more on that later. With all of that being said, just full transparency here, I'm not getting paid to say anything good, bad, or indifferent about this particular rifle. PTR doesn't know I'm doing this video. They did not send this to me. I did purchase this with my own money. And once again, I want to say a huge thank you to American Cash Exchange for helping me out and getting this taken care of. So if you guys are in the Manhattan, Kansas area, swing on by, check them out, let them know that I sent you. They'd appreciate that. So let's dive into it. The PTR-91 is a clone of the HK-91, which is the semi-auto version or the civilian version of the HK-G3, which is an adaptation of the SETME 58. So it has quite the lineage going all the way back into the late 50s with the SETME 58. So pretty nice lineage there. The G3, or the Germans, ended up taking that SETME 58 and kind of adapting it to what the Bundeswehr was going to need it to be used for in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s, and in some cases still today, depending on its setup and how they have it configured. But realistically, at the end of the day, the PTR is going to be the G3 at home, or at least what most people are going to be able to afford to purchase in this day and age. There are some HK-91s out there, but those end up being well over $2,500, close to $3,000, or even more in some cases, depending on when and where you're buying it. So this is going to be probably the best that you can get right now. One of the other great things about PTR Industries is that they are offering this in a number of different configurations. This particular one is going to be the PTR-91A3SK. We'll talk about why that is here in just a second, but at the end of the day, I really do like how they have everything set up. The handguards are kind of true to form when it comes to the G3A3 kind of setup. They did add on a pick section. They've welded this pick section on to the upper receiver, which is going to be indicative of a G3A3 as well. So a lot of great things going on with it for sure. So this is the part where I ask you guys for help. I really kind of want to get your ideas on what you want to see from this particular rifle. Obviously, I'm going to look at some accuracy, but I also want to compare it to other rifles. If there's some rifles that you're interested in me comparing this to, along with, like, say, the SCAR 17, let me know down in the comment section. I would really appreciate that. In addition to that, I'm not an expert when it comes to these types of rifles. I'm just now starting to get more and more interested in these because realistically, they're not ARs. That's number one. And to be frankly honest with you, AKs are starting to get to a point where it's getting more and more expensive to be in the AK world. Not to say that this is any cheaper, but yeah, so, but that's just kind of how I am. I get into something and really like it and then start looking for other things once I start getting comfortable with it. So there you go. Okay, so let's get into the overview of this particular rifle. This is going to be kind of my first impressions on the PTR-91. and just kind of talk to you through what I'm seeing as it stands with the first 100 rounds and then where we're going to go from there. First and foremost is you're going to have a 16-inch barrel with a 1 in 10 twist. That is where the SK version of this particular model comes from. So PTR-91A3SK because of the 16-inch barrel. It does have just a standard PTR style, HK style flash hider on the front, and one of the things they did do is changed how they attach these on here. Normally they have like a spring lock system on the muzzle device to kind of lock it in. These have been torqued down, so good to see that they've adapted that. This is going to be a roller delayed blowback system, so there is not a gas port on this barrel. There's no like gas operating system. It's all done through blowback, very similar to that of what we expect from the MP5. So basically this is going to be very similar to the MP5, just in a bigger form for the most part. That's just kind of a generality, I guess. 20 round mags, they do fit all of the HKG3 mags. These are really, really light, but extremely durable, and they kind of insert like an AK and AR at the same time. So a bit of a rock and lock, but also insertion as well. So there is that. You can use a side button here to release the mag, or this paddle as well. Charging handle right here. Pull back, lift up, just like an MP5, and then you get the slap. Oh yeah, just like an MP5. I want to say this a lot in this video. Safety lever on this is going to be not in a terrible position, but it is going to be kind of a reach for my Doug Flutie size hands. I can get it up there, but trying to lift it back up makes it very difficult. I have to break my grip just to get my thumb up underneath it to put it back on safe. Trigger on this, it's like 9 to 10 pound trigger pull on this. It's going to be very heavy. So here it is, you got some take up, and it's kind of a rolling brake, and then brakes over, and then your reset is pretty long and clunky. Your brake again. I didn't find when I was zeroing this that it was anything that was getting in my way, nor did I find that it was affecting my accuracy at all. So there is that. I did only zero this at 30 meters, and that is because of this drum style rear sight, which is actually very interesting and something I really do like. I learned a lot when it came to this rear sight and found that it was extremely accurate. I didn't like the cutout version for the 100 meter mark, but the 200 meter mark had me, you know, on target as well as I could be for my shooting abilities at like 90 yards. So that is something that was really cool. Now the downside to zeroing this is if you don't have a fine tip needle nose pliers, if you don't have a pair of those, trying to zero this is going to be extremely difficult. I ended up having to use some Allen keys. I had to take 3 Allen keys and work them into the detents that is on the inner drum so that I could adjust the outer drum. To raise your point of impact, you're going to turn this, it's going to be to the left, so lefty-loosey, and then to raise it, you're going to lower the point of impact, you're going to turn this to the right, or righty-tighty, lowering this or tightening this down, this drum down. So that's basically how it works. I hope that wasn't confusing. So once you got that all figured out, that was pretty easy. It does have a knob here for windage, which was really easy to figure out as well. It has a screw that locks it down. So once I figured it out, once I understood what needed to happen, it did teach me a lot, and it locks itself in place, making it a very well-designed rear sighting system. So we're going to check the accuracy at further distances in the future, but I will say again, this is set up for meters, not yards. So if you're going to zero this at 200 meters, You can start at 30 meters, which you then put the drum on the 200 meter mark, and that gets you in close, and then you can verify it at 200 meters later on and make your fine adjustments from there. So there's that. The buttstock, this is going to be your standard HK style buttstock. Length of pull on this is just a little too long. Maybe like, I don't know, an inch, half an inch too long for me. I didn't feel that that got in my way at all, but it did catch on my underarm a few times as I'm presenting it on target. Shooting experience on this has been pretty interesting. I would say that it has a little bit more of a thump than the SCAR 17 and what I'm used to from a AR-10, but it's a different recoil impulse. Because of that roller delayed blowback system, you're going to get just the slightest bit of delay. You'll feel that delay just a little bit instead of a straight push as soon as you pull the trigger from like a the SCAR 17 or a AR-10 or something to that effect, something that has a gas operating system. So that was some of the things that I saw on this. The magazine well does not have a flare, so as you insert this magazine on the move, I found that I was fumbling quite a bit to try to get that magazine in there, so just be aware of that. And then finally, shooting about midday, about 2 o'clock in 75-degree weather, this front end here got really hot. Just from the 100 rounds that I put through it, it was getting warm pretty quick and stayed warm for a while. So I ended up having to put gloves on just to be a little bit more comfortable when I was shooting. So there is that. Again, with this pick section, you can put some type of optic on here, but I would caution you on putting like an MPVO or high power variable optic on here. Probably a red dot or LPVO would be the best for something like this, because with this charging handle coming back, you're going to end up getting your hand pinched by the front of that scope, and then trying to slap this into battery, that's going to be an issue as well. So there's a lot of the different things going on with this. I will say that PTR has kind of gotten a bad rap over the years, at least as it stands right now. In the first iterations that they brought into the country, they had a lot of reliability issues. They had some issues with the stocks cracking just within the first couple hundred rounds. You also had Century Arms bringing in the C308s, which were basically semi rifles that were cut up and then reassembled. Those had a lot of issues as well. So these ended up getting a bad rap. But I think as it stands right now, if the claims about this being a 1.5 MOA rifle with M80 ball ammunition right out of the box, if those claims are correct, I think that this is going to be one of the better battle rifles that you can purchase. That is A, not an AR-10, and B, accurate and somewhat affordable, looking somewhere around that $1,300 to $1,400 mark on the street. So that's kind of my quick overview as far as how this is going so far. Really like it. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say on what you would see with this rifle. With all that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thanks so much for swinging by and checking things out. If you haven't already subscribed or checked out the Live, Laugh, Larp podcast, I'd encourage you guys to do that. Link to that in the pinned comment and in the description. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd greatly appreciate you guys doing that. Likes, comments, shares are a great way to support the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. We'll go ahead and get out. Thanks so much for checking things out. Really appreciate it, you guys. Talk to you guys later. As always, freedom through strength. Bye, y'all.